Hello, welcome back to Erica's Little Welsh Garden. Thanks so much for joining me today. Over the last 24 hours, we've had quite a lot of rain here, which has been really welcome because I think it's been about a good 3 weeks where we haven't had any rain at all. So when I was planning what I'd be doing in the garden today, I thought getting the greenhouse ready for autumn sowing of my onions and getting the polytunnel ready too would be an excellent idea. Finally, I have some red tomatoes, as you can see here, and my tomato plants now are looking pretty sad. I've kind of held off watering them too much for the last week or so because it seemed to be helping them ripen a little bit more, but there's quite a few green ones still, so I think I'm going to get these ones taken off, brought inside, so that I can just get on now ready for my autumn planting. So here are the ripe tomatoes that I have just picked from the vines, and I think I've probably had this quantity of ripe ones from the vines already, but what I didn't realise was how many green tomatoes are still left. I hadn't really noticed them because they're green and kind of camouflaged, but there are probably more than double this of green ones, so I'm going to get those ones picked now and then we can have a quick look and see how many there really is. So here are the green tomatoes that I've just harvested. I've got 2 punnets, and this punnet here has quite a lot of really small tomatoes in. They were just kind of lown on the vines, and I doubt they amount to much, but I've still harvested them and I will give them a chance. And then in this punnet here, I've got some really big vines. So as you can see here, these tomatoes are pretty big and they're starting to just go a tiny little bit orange. So hopefully I will get these to actually ripen if I mix them with the other tomatoes. That'd be really good. Also, just wanted to point out, these plastic punnets that I'm using are actually left over from grapes that we get from the supermarket. My children absolutely love grapes, and I have got 2 grapevines now, but I think it's going to be a couple of years before we can be harvesting them. So I always save these. These are absolutely amazing. They're perfect for harvesting things like tomatoes or other things from the vegetable garden, but they're also really good for starting seedlings off, so they're worth saving if you have them at home. And now it's time to start snipping down these tomato vines, and this is really symbolising the end of summer in the greenhouse. It's been my first growing season with the greenhouse going up in spring, and I'm pretty pleased with the amount of tomatoes that I've had, because when I put this up here I didn't realise quite how shady it would be during the day. So to have as many tomatoes as I've had from these bushes, I'm pretty happy. And with regards to blight, I seem to have been pretty lucky. The tomatoes have been really unruly. We had quite a wet August. The tomatoes have been touching everything, but they seem to be okay. And the only kind of downside to the first growing season I've had is that usually I grow all French beans underneath and they do really well, but I've had just so much slug damage this year, so none of the beans underneath have actually come to anything, which down at my allotment in the polytunnel they have. So that's something I need to work on over the next season, of how I'm going to deal with slugs, maybe nematodes and stuff like that. But I'm really happy, and maybe next year I need to work out how I can secure these a little bit better so I can get in the greenhouse easily, but it's a good start. I'm pleased to say that this bed is now ready for planting up in the autumn. You may have noticed that I was just snipping off the beans at the soil level, and the same with the tomatoes, and where the halos were, I've left the mounds of soil there. And the reason for that is that I practice no dig in this greenhouse, and every time I pull those roots out or disturb the soil, I'm going to be damaging it. So it's better just to leave things under the ground if you can. There were a couple of weeds in here, but I just, you know, got those ones out with a fork. There is also a poor little kale in here. That one went in quite a long time ago and got nibbled quite a bit. Then when the tomatoes grew, it got really shaded out, so I thought it had kind of gone, but it's still there, so I'm going to give it a good water and see if it regenerates. One thing though is that this soil is so dry. You can have the most nutrient soil going, but if it's dry, you're not going to be able to get that nutrients into the roots of your plants. So I definitely need to water this and give it a nice little regeneration before I plant any of my onions in here. I'm not going to worry too much about putting any more compost on the top at this stage of the year, because there's quite a lot of topsoil in here, so it should give it enough nutrients for another growing season. But maybe next year I'll give it a little bit more of a fertilise when I am going to be planting my tomatoes in there. As well as getting this bed sorted out, I sorted out the bed behind me. Now that's quite a small bed that spends quite a lot of time in the shade, so nothing really grew very well in there last year. There's still a plant in there which is similar to spinach, but I can't remember the name of it, so I'm going to leave that in there. And there is also the saddest of kales that I'm not sure it was butterflies or slugs that got it, but it's still in there. I've left it. I'm going to water it and see if it comes back, because it can, you know, grow over the winter, but I'm not sure. And then behind in the corner, bit of a mess, I've just tidied that up. And I was going to go and put a load of plant pots in those green boxes, but I think I am going to build a raised bed in that corner. It spends quite a lot of time in the summer in the shade, but it would be perfect for things like salad crops and stuff. But one thing I haven't done is sorted out my kind of potting up area. It's an absolute tip. I've got loads of pots and things that I need to sort out. I don't know about you, but at this time of year, I always have empty plant pots or plant pots with dead plants in that never made it into the ground littered around my garden. I've got quite a few outside of the greenhouse, but I've also got some by my back steps, because they're things that are either going to the allotment or coming back. So I think I need to do a little bit of a roundup of all of my plant pots, get them out and stack them, because they always end up all kind of in wonky stacks, and they just need sorting out as one big job. But I am really pleased now that I am ready for getting things planted in here in the autumn. I think I'm going to leave the video here, but thank you so much for watching. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, I really hope you've enjoyed it, but please do hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified of all of my latest videos. As ever, YouTube has some videos up now on the screen that they think you'll like, so please go ahead and watch those, and I'll catch up with you in the next episode. Bye!